The Marcos administration facing the bitter truth on sugar smuggling across the country. The crackdown against illegal importers heats up amid a sugar mess probe. In Subic, 6 customs officials relieved from office over an attempt to import around 45 million pesos worth of Thai sugar. And ABS-CBN and TV5 pressing the pause button on their investment deal as the House of Representatives digs deeper into the details of their landmark agreement. Good evening, I'm Pia Hontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. My first guests tonight to talk about the sugar mess, the president of the Food Processors Group, the Philippine Food Processors and Exporters Organization, Mr. Ruben C., who's joining us via Zoom. And speaking to us by telephone is the president of a planters group, the United Sugar Producers Federation, Mr. Manuel Lamata. Mr. C. and Mr. Lamata, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Let's begin with this question for both gentlemen. Sirs, what are we to make of this mess over sugar order number 4? What do you think really happened here? You both belong to the sugar industry, so maybe you do know. Let's begin with Mr. C.
Well, good evening, everyone. Well, we are food processor, and we're not doing sugar. So that's my answer.
Mr. Lamata, who is joining us by telephone of the United Sugar Producers Federation. Sir, what do you think, what are we to make of this mess over sugar order number 4? What do you think really happened here, sir?
Well, first off, good evening, ma'am. And the mess is caused or was caused by Mr. Sarafica. That's the whole mess. The SRA is a good agency. It's been working fine for the past 20 years. And only on the time of Mr. Sarafica that this mess occurred. Mm-hmm. Now, what has been happening or what has happened is there seems to be a conspiracy between a miller trader and with Sarafica, SRA, and that's where the mess started. And of course, the retailers were also involved because it's one big conspiracy. You know, the retailer, the miller traders would start withholding the stock, hoarding it. The retailers will love it because they have their own stocks, but the prices keep going up. And Mr. Sarafica has the right reasons to import because he is advocating that there is no more sugar. So that's the whole mess.
But Mr. Lamata, ang claim po ni Mr. Sarafica is that they had no fault in this. What is really happening when you say that there is a conspiracy between millers, traders, retailers? Who exactly, sir? And why is this happening?
I don't know why it's happening. It's all about money. The more they hoard, the more they constrict, the more money they make. It's as simple as that. It's a trading technique. Kami po, no, mga farmers, we've been bashed by everybody that we are making so much money, and that is not true. You know, these people, they buy out sugar at 40 pesos.
40 pesos, huh? Okay. Yun po yung farm gate. 40, yes. Hindi po 45, sir.
Hindi po. 40. Average namin is 40.
Okay.
Yun ang farm gate price namin. So, I don't know where and they're selling it at 100. Sobra naman yan. Mm-hmm. Sobrang greed. So, wag naman sana. So, yun, we are very happy that the president has changed all everybody in the SRA. The new SRA board is online. Just give them a little bit of time. They'll clean it up. Mm. The agency is a good agency. It's the people who were placed there that is bulok. Thank God they're all out. So now we're back to normal now.
Back to normal.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
confident about that, sir?
Oh, yes, very confident because, for one, all three are from our island, from Negros Island. And you know naman, ma'am, Filipino culture, family, everybody's related to everybody. So I don't think they'll make any kalokohan because they live here. And we will pounce on them for sure.
Well, from your point of view, Mr. Lamata, what do you think happened there doon sa pinirmahan ni Mr. Sebastian, yung Sugar Order number 4, dahil daw authorized siya, pero sabi naman ni ES, hindi naman daw. What was going on there?
Pati kami, ma'am, nadamay kami doon Kasi nagpakunyari to si Mr. Sespita, nag-consultation daw. So they emailed our federation to ask for our opinion kung ano yon. But they were already talking to our members. Utos to ni Presidente, this is a national emergency. We have to import 300,000 metric tons kasi paubos na and wala ng sugar stock. That is what they told us. So I, in turn, ma'am, wrote a resolution and signed it. Who am I to question the wisdom of the President? So I signed that I am in conforme of refined sugar na 300,000. But lo and behold, when the sugar order came out, 150,000 was raw or brown, and the other 150,000 was refined. I will never accede and agree to importation of raw because we are already milling and we have already a lot of stocks of brown sugar. So sino naman ang kumana dito? Who made money? It's the refiners. Ilan lang sila? 3, 4? Yon lang. Yon ang nakapera. Bakit ganon? You know, when that sugar, if that was approved, when that sugar arrives in November, patay yung planter because bagsak yung presyo ng asukal sa farm gate price.
Sir, sino po yung 3 o 4 na sinasabi po ninyo na who made money?
Well, I'm not very sure about the refiners. No, I think CADP of President Pangilinan ba yan? Ang sa Manny Pangilinan ba yan? Not PLDT. Ano ba yun? Yung big time Big time niya. Hindi ko saan
Manny Pangilinan, kapangalan ni MVP.
Yeah. That's the one, yes. Because they own that sugar mill and he is one of the biggest refiners po. And then there are others. I think First Farmers of Negros, they have. Jo Marichan of Biscom, they also have. That's all about I know. I don't know about the rest. But they're not many. They're just a few.
I just wanted to ask very briefly, sir, about since there is Sugar Order number 4, so there is Sugar Order number 3. There is some speculation going around about this Sugar Order number 3 dated early February 2022. It authorized 200,000 metric tons for crop year 2021 to 2022. Does this in any way impact what is happening now? Itong 300,000 metric tons na inauthorized ng Sugar Order number 4?
In a way, yes. Because for one, as early as February and March, Seraphica was already drumming up and saying prices are going high, the retail prices are going up, medyo because of the typhoon. He was using the typhoon excuse then in order to import. So he imported. And we filed a TRO against him. We filed a case because he wanted the first sugar to arrive on March. And March, we were at full swing harvesting in our sugar industry. That is a no-no. When he signed the sugar order, prices dropped to 250 pesos immediately. And when we were able to get the TRO, prices went back up where it was before. Now, what are the anomalies of SO3? 20. The first anomaly was exclusively for industrials, Coca-Cola et al., all 200,000. Zero for the palengke, 0 for the bakery, 0 for the housewife. Wala. So he did not address the rising prices in the retail store.
Sir, I'm looking at Sugar Order number 3. Ang nakalagay po dito sa Section 2, volume and type of sugar to be imported. So 200,000 metric tons, 100,000 metric tons of standard grade refined sugar, and the other 100,000 metric tons for bottlers grade refined sugar.
Pareho
Tama
lang
po ba
yan.
to? Pareho lang.
Cosmetic lang yan. It's still 35 ikumsa. Either refined or butlers. It's 35 ikumsa. That's all. Sorry for the language, all BS.
Oh, yeah, well, okay, so what are we to conclude now? Because in the last few days, few weeks, there have been visits by customs and other government officials of different warehouses, Bulacan, Pampanga, CDO. Tapos, well, like we're showing now, no, maraming mga video ng napakaraming sako ng asukal. So, syempre, although it's not very clear yet, no, exactly what is the real story behind all these. Syempre, ang iisipin ng tao, perception pa lang. Pag nakita yan, syempre isipin ng tao, teka muna, di ba may shortage? Ang taas-taas ng presyo ng asukal ngayon. Pero ang dami-daming asukal sa warehouse. So, what are we supposed to make of that now, sir?
Exactly my point, ma'am. Sinasabi ni Serapica, kaubos na, wala na. That is to justify he could import 300,000 metric tons. Ito naman yung mga ninirate, ang daming-daming asukal dyan. They still keep on holding that until, if ever, that 300,000 was approved, that is the time they will release before the new sugar comes in. Mga loko-loko to eh. They just want exorbitant incomes for them.
We're going to take a very quick break. We're talking about this sugar mess. So we'll be back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Politics as Usual. Let's pick up where we left off. Still with me is Mr. Ruben C. He's the president of the Philippine Food Processors and Exporters Organization. He's with us via Zoom. On the telephone line is the president of the United Sugar Producers Federation, Mr. Manuel Lamata. Mr. C, since you do use sugar for food processing, can you tell us how this is impacting you, this mess? Mr. C? All right, let's go back to Mr. Manuel Lamata, the president of the United Sugar Producers Federation. When we get a better line to Mr. C, we're going to get back to him. Sir, imports. All right. Let's go back to PhilFoodX President Mr. Ruben C. We apologize. That is a problem. Pandemic or no pandemic, communication lines not very good in this country. So sometimes we get good signals, sometimes we get bad signals. But anyway, sir, as I was saying kanina lang po, since you use sugar for your food processing business, how is this sugar import mess about sugar order number 4, etc., and the entire controversy affecting you, impacting you?
Well, with this mess, the sugar goes up. So even up to higher, up to 100 pesos, 210 pesos. So that's a big problem for our exporter.
And when this happens, sir, does that mean that business slows down a bit or is affected? There are some things you will need to sacrifice. Ganun po ba?
Well, of course, we are affected because sugar is an important input in our food manufacturing. If the price of sugar is more than 50 pesos, the exporter will not be very competitive. Because if you compare with us with ASEAN neighboring countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, their cost of sugar is only about 35 pesos and maybe lower.
35 pesos.
It's really difficult. Yeah.
Oh. Tapos tayo,
mahal talaga ng sugar natin.
Nga, ang explanation nga ni Mr. Lamata kanina, ang benta nila 40 to 45 farm gate. Pagdating sa merkado, nasa 100 piso na. So parang, syempre, ang iisipin ng tao, again, the knee-jerk reaction is, paano po yun? Paano nagdoble? So, lahat para bang nagdo-domino effect na lang po sa lahat? Hindi po ba, sir?
Hindi, kasi ang pinalalabas kasi may shortage eh. Because of shortage, like supply and demand, if you have less supply, then
Tataas ng presyo.
the price go up. Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
So given all the video that we've seen so far, again, based on perception, nakita po natin yung mga warehouse na medyo puno ng mga sako-sako ng asukal. As far as you're concerned, Mr. C, meron po ba tayong shortage o wala?
Well, sa industry naman namin, if you can buy at high price, then you can buy sugar. Pero syempre masakit sa negosyante 'yon.
And syempre, if you buy
And,
sugar at a high price, therefore you will have to increase your own prices because alam nga naman po, you will just absorb the loss, right, sir?
Yes, that's why we are not competitive. Because we're export. And for domestic market also, hindi tayo makakompete sa taas ng presyo, kawawa yung mga consumer.
Okay. I wanted to bring in Mr. Lamata. We have about 2 minutes to go before we say goodbye, or less than 2 minutes to go before we say goodbye to the, both gentlemen. But Mr. Lamata, I wanted to ask this question. It's very basic, no? So imports, the way we understand it is imports are supposed to make up for a lack in the sugar industry. But how does this harm the industry?
Okay, first off, I think the gentleman on the other line said it very well. We don't have any lack of sugar. There is none. Because you go out anywhere and you can buy, but it's very, very high. So walang shortage. Okay, on your question, how can it harm us? It's the timing. Okay, the industry has never been against importation if there is a need to import because the crop went down, whatever other reason, typhoon. But it's just the timing. Never ever import when it's harvest season. Dapat wag yun. Kasi the industry will suffer. If you dump highly subsidized sugar from abroad while on milling season, then farm gate prices, mababa na yung bili sa amin, bababa pa yan. Maybe 25, 30 pesos, babagsak yan. So yun lang, timing lang po.
Sana nga po maayos na po ang lahat. Mr. Manuel Lamata and Mr. Rubensi, PhilFood President and Mr. Lamata, Unifed President, thank you very much to the both of you gentlemen for being with us tonight. When we return, we'll speak about ABS-CBN's decision halting, well, both ABS-CBN and TV5 halting its investment deal temporarily. Political journalist and former ABS-CBN ANC anchor Christian Ian Esquerra joining us next. This is Politics as Usual. You're still with Politics as Usual. We're going to talk about the ABS-CBN and TV5 deal that has been paused temporarily. My guest for this segment is an assistant professor at the University of Santo Tomas, a political journalist, former ABS-CBN News Channel or ANC anchor Christian Ian Esquerra joining us via Zoom. Hi Ian, thank you very much for being with us. How are you? Kamusta ka na?
Yeah. Okay naman, enjoying independent journalism. Thank you for having me, Pia.
Enjoying independent journalism. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, you host Facts First, no, which airs on YouTube, right? O sige, let's try Facts First
I just
now.
finished tonight's program.
Okay. Ano yung topic nyo? Ito? ABS-CBN?
This same topic
Same
also.
topic.
And I
Okay.
dropped some truth bombs dun sa latter part of the program.
Wow, okay. Sige, you can drop that here also tonight. Anyway, Ian, let's begin with this, no? Ang bilis ng pangyayari eh. Kanina, nung umaga, ang parabang dapat main na pag-uusapan itong ang mga House Resolution 280, 281, 282 ng tatlong kongresista kasi gusto nilang imbestigahan itong deal na ito. Biglang nag-announcement ng ABS-CBN at TV5 na we will temporarily pause this agreement. No? What are we to make of all of this? Let's begin with that.
Well, definitely, there's intense pressure again coming from more or less the same people who blocked the franchise application of ABS-CBN in 2020. The same sycophants to any sitting administration. Although what's interesting here is that we're not hearing any signals yet from President Bongbong Marcos. And you and I know for a fact that legislative franchises are not that big a deal until the ABS-CBN issue came to fore in
Right.
2020.
Oh. Para
Usually,
bang
ano
it's
yan,
a
mabilis
matter
lang
of
yan, di ba?
mabilis lang. It's a matter of course, no. It's like an automatic thing, or at least we presumed that in the past.
Unless may gusto makuha yung mga legislators. And in this case, in the case of President Duterte, he wanted ABS-CBN out of free TV and free radio. So ngayon, we're seeing the same cast of characters. You mentioned the announcement coming from TV5 and ABS-CBN to, I think their exact words were agreed to pause in their
Pause.
closing negotiations. Medyo telling sa akin yung latter part of the statement. Sabi nila, this will give them space
Yeah.
to respond to the issues and accommodate any relevant changes to the terms. Well,
Yeah.
I hope this is not an expression of fear because we already saw the repercussions when a news organization operated under climate of fear. In short, pagduwag, no? So we saw what happened. The appeasement policy of ABS-CBN in 2020 toward President Duterte didn't work. We still lost the franchise. And I hope this won't be the same outcome in this case. Yung hindi matutuloy yung joint venture because of this pressure coming from our politicians.
Well, is it still possible that when they talk about, and again, we quote their own statement, second paragraph, this pause will give space for both media organizations to respond to the issues and accommodate any relevant changes to the terms. Is it possible that they're just parang making sure na, crossing their T's, dotting their I's, making sure walang problema dito, that there are no holes whatsoever, making sure everything is airtight?
That's very possible, but I hope they won't give in because there's no other recourse here but to fight, really. Of course, I hope I'm not being seen as someone who's rabble-rouser siguro parang gusto makapag-away, no? Parang we saw already the repercussions, the ill effects of not fighting properly, of perhaps playing footsie with the powers that be. I hope hindi ito mangyari ngayon. Kasi a lot is at stake, no? Kanina I was listening to the House the hearing by the two House committees on the resolutions filed by congressmen, no? Kinausap dun yung commissioner ng Philippine Competition Commission. And I honestly thought the congressmen who were trying to block this joint venture agreement didn't exactly hear what they wanted to hear from the PCC. So expect even more pressure on the part of certain congressmen toward the PCC. Kasi sinabi ron, di ba, one of the complaints supposedly
Ownership,
was that they didn't want ownership and at the same time yung monopoly by ABS-CBN and TV5 of the market. Pero sinabi rin kanina ni PCC Commissioner Johannes Bernabe, when ABS-CBN was shut down in 2020 and the application for a new franchise was rejected, ang market share ng GMA became anywhere between 53.6% and 65%. So makakatulong pa nga pag natuloy yung it's not a merger but an investment agreement between ABS-CBN and TV5 to foster healthier competition. Yet they're trying to block this. Kanina sinabi rin ng commissioner na hindi ito kasama doon sa threshold amount of 1 billion pesos for this to be notified, for the PCC to be notified. Kasi nga there's a bayanihan na tulo na tinaas yung threshold to 50 million pesos.
Okay. Kanina nabanggit na natin yung tatlong congressmen authors of House Resolutions number 280, 281, 282. Zamboanga Sibugay 1st District Representative Wilter Palma, Quezon Province 2nd District Representative David Suarez, and TGP Party List Representative Jose Teves. Iyan itong one of the things ABS-CBN has been repeating ever since this announcement was made was that we are not a media network. We're not broadcasting. We are a content creation or content creator company. When ABS-CBN says something like that, does that help them, push this deal forward?
Definitely, and that's true. There's no lie there. So they're just providing content to TV5, and this is supposed to be mutually beneficial. They're not applying for another franchise, at least in this case, no? Hindi rin naman nakikisakay sila sa franchise lang ng TV5. So they are in a legitimate position to provide content. Ngayon, we know very well the things working behind the scenes, no? Alam naman natin na this is all about politics. And I hope dito ABS-CBN in particular won't fall into the gaslighting strategies of the powers that be. Kasi we saw that in 2020, di ba? The powers that be actually blamed ABS-CBN for the rejection of the franchise application. And that resonated in the newsroom. We heard that from the owners. And nasabi, dapat baguhin natin, magbago tayo dito sa klase ng journalism na ginagawa natin. Bawal yung komentaryo, dapat objective, quote-unquote. That was actually flimsy, to be honest with it, no? Pasensya ka na, Pia, I'm being truthful, no?
Ito na ba yung truth bomb mo?
Now, because I'm no longer part of that, no? Pero ang point ko, the ABS-CBN people, especially the management, should not fall for the gaslighting that we're seeing still now. Kasi one thing I would like to correct here is the massive propaganda used and quite effectively against ABS-CBN in 2020, and we're still seeing that now. Yung bang kasalanan ng ABS-CBN na hindi sila nagkaroon ng bagong prangkisa. I keep telling people, lahat ng mga news organizations, maraming pagkakamalian. Pero I don't think any of those errors would rise to the level of their franchise application being rejected. Baga, wag naman tayo magbulag-bulagan that the president didn't want ABS-CBN to get the franchise, and his sycophants work for him. That's what happened here.
You mean the former president? Yeah, the former president.
Yeah, with the former president. Yeah.
Well, just to make this very clear, we did try and invite representatives, officials of ABS-CBN and TV5, but they declined our invitation. And understandably so, syempre, they don't want to talk about it right now. Okay, Ian, I have a minute to go. So is there any other truth bomb you'd like to drop right now?
Well, I just hope the two news organizations trying to finish this deal, in particular ABS-CBN, I hope they would play their cards much better here. Not in terms of doing backdoor negotiations with the powers that be, but by the owners, allowing the journalists, in particular of ABS-CBN, do their work properly. Kumbaga, hindi restrain. Hindi ko sinasabing babanatan dapat yung mga nagbablock sa franchise. Just focus on the legitimate issues and don't muffle the journalists. Don't censor the newsroom.
And as long
That's my opinion, and I hope that would happen this time.
And as long as they practice, as we always do, practice good journalism. Yun lang naman, di ba, Ian?
Yeah.
All right. Ian Esguerra, Christian Esguerra, Ian is professor. Ian Esguerra, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in group chats and risk warfare, digital and otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show. Your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m.